Recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And you are live on Relics Radio tonight. It is September the 6th, 2018, coming to you from the beautiful Cumberland River Valley, the foothills of the Cumberland Mountains here along the Cumberland River. I tell you what, we're in God's country down here. Sure are. Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, can't ask for any more. And I am your host in Southern. I'm your host in Southern Kentucky, Digging with Seven.
And I'm your co-host in northern Middle Tennessee, the Smoky Mountains. So, how's it going, Seven? Man, I've been fighting the Skype, and I've been fighting the slow computer. Of course, we've had a little bit of rain down here, and a lightning storm went through earlier, so I don't know if that's got something to do with it or not.
Yeah, we got Jeff in on the phone. Normally we get him through in on Skype, and we've got him on the phone now. I tell you what, it's just been a strange week. They said that they were going to discontinue the old version of Skype, but we still have our version here, and the old one that we've been using. So our phone lines will be open here after a while at 270-495-0315. Want to get as many calls in tonight as we can. Jeff, I know that you noticed because you tagged me in a post some of the wildlife situation that we've had just behind our house here.
Yeah, I seen the other day I was just going through Facebook and a couple of things, and I seen a news article, and it was like 2 horses, 2 dogs, and something else was mauled to death by some kind of creature they said had big fangs, and you could tell that whatever this creature was had grabbed them by the throat. And it come to find out it may be a mountain lion that had, I don't know if the game wardens had turned it loose or someone's pet or something, but anyway, the game wardens are kind of denying anything involvement in it. So, I mean, I think it may be just a liability thing, but I was thinking, man, if we're out there, I mean, this was right at Seven's house, and if we're out there metal detecting and there's something out there that can eat you, I kind of want to know about it. I don't know about you, Seven, but that's the way I am.
I'm kind of worried about you whenever I get out there, I tell you, sometimes.
I do get hungry every now and then.
Yes, you do. But, you know, it's right across the blacktop from our farm over there, and I don't have any cattle there now, but my brother-in-law, I sold all my cattle to my brother-in-law, and he still got cattle on it. But it's just across the blacktop, and it killed 2 horses, and it killed a pit bull, and it killed a collie dog, and it seemed like that there was something else, and I can't remember what it was. But
well, I'm sure there was a chicken involved.
Probably so. But my son-in-law, his cousin is the game warden here in the county. So we heard about it pretty quick, and he just texted him, and because they were on the scene, and he said, what's going on over there? You know, what do you think that it is? And he first said, I think it may be a Sasquatch, but then he put a laughing out loud on it, you know, and he said, he said, my best guess is it's a mountain lion. I don't know what the difference in a mountain lion and a cougar is. I think a panther is black. So, but it's a large cat. And he did some measurements on it and everything, and he kind of, he didn't come out in the open and tell anybody, but he told us, and he said the fangs are probably about somewhere around 2.5, 3 inches apart, and they were 4 inches deep, and the claws were a little over 2 inches. And he said, when you see a panther, or whenever you see these bats, it's not a regular cat. And Mark Hoover said panthers can be black or brown. I just don't know all that much about them, but I know, and I'm like you, I think that the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife is trying to lay low on this because they may have turned this loose, and they may have a collar tracker on the thing. They may know where it's at even right now. And
and they may do it. You see it a lot of times. People turn loose bears and stuff in rural areas. Of course, I'm sure I understand they have to get rid of a nuisance bear out of its area, and you don't want to euthanize the animal just because humans moved into its territory. But yet, on the other hand, if I'm out metal detecting or my kids are running around in the pasture or whatever, I want to make sure I know that there's somebody or something that is out there can eat you. Like if you're in bear territory or if you're in mountain lion territory, you have that awareness that there's something out there. Either carry bear spray or make sure you are armed when you go out. So.
Yeah, that's right. And, it was Labor Day, and we have a whole bunch of family that comes in from Illinois and Indiana and different places, and they all Ohio Radicanner said it's a barb squash. It's what it is.
Well, she did move in close, didn't she?
Yeah, she's a little bit closer. But anyway, we had a lot of family in, and in between our house and Raina's sister, Patty, and Jack, between their house, I don't know, it's eighth of a mile down the road here. We wouldn't let, the kids normally just walk back and forth, and we wouldn't let them do that because, it's just probably a half a mile behind our house here where the attack took place. So it's kind of one of those situations, where you don't know exactly what to do other than just be safe. And hadn't heard anything else about it, but, sometimes whenever an animal like that gets the taste of blood, then it's something that they go back to,
It sure is. And, one thing that was odd to me, it just killed these animals. It never did eat them. So, I'm really not for sure what was going on there.
Yeah, just bit the throat out of them. You could see on each side of the animal where it took its claws and held it and then just bit its throat out. I hate to be too graphic on the radio here, but that's exactly what happened, to them. On a side note, before we get too far into it, also into the show tonight and bring our guest on, as most of you know, I released a video today on the new Equinox update, and that will be this next Tuesday video because I'm going to be out of town this next week. And Heath Jones will host the show with Tennessee Jeff this next week. And this thing was kind of time sensitive. It just came out, and really it's not official until tomorrow. But I went ahead and done a video on it today and released it. And just to tell you the truth, I needed something, and so I took advantage of that opportunity. It's about a 3-minute job is all that it is to go and get the material that you need and plug your Equinox into your computer and then update it. I think the video's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think it's that hard to do. So look into that, and if you've got an Equinox, well, update it. And we got a great guest tonight, a good buddy of mine, Joe Davidson. He's known on YouTube as Okie Surf and Turf Metal Detecting. What's going on tonight, Joe?
Hey, not a whole lot. Just sitting in my backyard listening to you guys talk.
Y'all got any big...
That sounds good.
You're out in Washington State, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, I'm in North Washington. I'm about an hour north of Seattle.
Yeah, y'all got some big cats up y'all's way, I guess, don't you?
Yes, we do. Yeah. I've seen a couple of them in the last probably, I don't know, 8-10 years.
Yeah. And
last time was salmon fishing. I had one tracking me one time. That was pretty spooky.
Yeah. You don't want
Man, I bet. So what do you do? You just do they normally just turn around and go the other way, or I'm sure it depends on if they're hungry or not. But
well, I was fishing this big eddy, and so all the salmons, after they spawn out, and they swim into this big deep pool in this creek, and I just felt like something was watching me, and I kept looking around. I said, "Man, there's nobody here," and I heard a little bit of crunch back behind me in the woods, and I kind of stared back in the woods, and it takes you a while to get your eyes adjusted to something, and all of a sudden I saw these big old eyes, and I just froze. I just froze, man. There's dead fish everywhere, and it was scary. I was like, man, this thing, and I just froze, and it just kind of wandered off. I heard he's supposed to get loud and get big, but honestly, I just got paralyzed, and I really couldn't do anything.
I imagine that
he would have smelled something real bad if it'd been me, and that probably would have run him off.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been salmon, would it?
It sure wouldn't have been.
It wouldn't have been salmon. And whenever I was thinking about the show tonight and having Joe on. A couple of years ago, Joe and Jeremy, J.L. Digger, came down and hunted with me here. And we were back in 5 Mile Holler. Jeff, you know where we're talking about there. And we got into a spot over there hunting. And Joe, tell everybody what happened to you up there.
Oh man, you want me to tell that story, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell you guys because you thought I'd be a weirdo or something, but you said I wasn't the first person, so that made me feel better. So, while we were hunting back at this holler, we were finding some cool stuff, and I remember, we were finding old stuff. I mean, stuff going all the way back to late 1700s, early 1800s, if I remember. And
yeah.
And I kept looking across this creek. And there was a knoll up on the other side of this creek. And I said, hey, can we go over there and hunt? I really want to go over there and hunt. I kept bringing it up. And so finally we went across the creek and I hiked up on top of that knoll. And you guys were probably at least 100 yards away from me, at least, maybe more. And I'm up on top of that knoll, and there's no trees, there's no nothing around. And while I'm swinging, I felt this hard tap on my left shoulder. I mean, it was like tap, tap, tap. And I turned around to see who's tapping me on the shoulder. And I see you and Jeremy down on the bottom of the hill. And there was nobody around. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to say anything. And it was freaking me out. And all the hair on my arms and my neck and my head were standing up. And I was like, I'm not going to tell these guys. These guys are going to think I'm weird. And so finally, I remember 2 gates down that holler, I finally said something to you. And that's when you confirmed that I'm not the first person that's happened to.
No. Up in that holler there's been some strange things that have happened to people before. And I tell you what, he was as white as a ghost. And it was it was kind of, it's kind of funny in a way, but then it's not. And, you don't, Ohio Relic Hunter said, was it bird crap? Tap, tap, tap. No,
that's a big piece of bird crap, man. It felt like it was going to bruise my shoulder. That's how hard it hit me. I mean, it was, I know it sounds weird. I sound like a weirdo talking about it, but it was a real deal, man.
Well, when you come back, you know that there's a mountain lion that's standing in the shadows now. So, he probably won't tap you on the shoulder. He'll probably grab you by both arms and bite your throat out.
Yeah,
I see a camping trip coming.
A camping trip. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were back in that holler, and Jeff knows how far from civilization that you are there. If anything happened to you, you probably never would get to the hospital in time. You never would get out of the holler in time. But
well, see, just to give y'all an idea, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, Sam, but to just give the audience an idea, you can't hear airplanes in this hollow. It's so far out. You just can't hear airplanes. You can't hear anything. So it's a long ways out.
And that's what I was fixing to bring up. We had all been detecting, and we all had headphones on, I believe, at the time. We pulled them off and went and got us a cold drink and some snacks and everything, and was sitting there. And Joe said, "You hear that?" And everybody got real quiet, and I said, "I don't hear anything." And he said, "Exactly. I've never been in a spot that you couldn't hear something, an airplane, a car, or something." But, that you're way back in the sticks when you get into that there, I tell you.
Oh, yeah. That was a fun day.
You sure are.
And that was a fun day.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that hunt. I would have liked to hunt it with you guys, man, but I mean, it is a long ways back in there.
Yeah.
When the first time I'd ever went back there, I was like, man, where are we going? And of course, he's like, you called it what, 4 Mile Hollow? And then of course it ended up being like 7 or 8, 10 or 12.
We call it
I can't remember. I wouldn't want to walk out.
We call it 5 Mile Holler, and Joe and Jeremy didn't go to the back end of it with us. Hey, Joe, me and Jeff went to the very back end. We were using AT Pros, and we weren't using headphones, and so you could hear every little beep and everything that was going on. And we'd already called up a flock of turkeys. They'd already come up and come off the hill just gobbling and doing the worst there was, And then in a minute, well, here come Jeff, and his eyes was as big as saucers. And he said, "Did you see that?" And I said, "No, what was it?" And he said, "There's a coyote come off that hill right there and come down in this holler." Said he wasn't 25 feet from me there before, that I noticed him. And, it was...
Yeah, I heard something coming, and he was running off the hill, and he was probably, maybe 10 yards, and then he finally seen that I wasn't a turkey, and then he turned around and went the other way, but that's what he thought I was a turkey with that AT Pro going, and it was kind of funny.
Joe, we dropped your phone off there for a minute, but we got you back.
I don't know what happened. So you guys went around that big hay barn, and you guys just kept going down that hollers. I knew you were talking about exploring down there.
Oh, man. We went back in there where you had to pipe sunshine in, I tell you. And
man,
we called.
Yeah, it already took 15 minutes at least to drive in there.
Oh, it took a while. Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah,
sure did. Hey, this week was probably our third week of having show prep where you guys are able to ask questions that you want us to ask our guest each week. I think we've got 4 this week. So, Jeff, go ahead and throw one of them out there and let Joe explain his answer to that question.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with this. And, of course, this one was the last one added. It says, what does his wife or girlfriend think about metal detecting and the time he commits to the hobby?
Oh my goodness, that's I know she's not listening. I can guarantee you that. She doesn't get it. She doesn't understand it. But at the same time, there's a lot worse hobbies out there that I could be doing. So she knows I'm not going to get myself in trouble. She doesn't like all the dirt and all the junk laying around. But yeah, she doesn't mind it. She, as far as, I'm a pretty easy shopper for Christmas and birthdays, so she likes that about me because she knows, knows what to get me for holidays or my birthday.
Anything to do with metal detecting. She doesn't
mind it.
Yeah, anything to do with
right.
metal detecting. And, that's pretty well the way it is with every one of us. Now, I know in some cases it's not that way, where the wife and the husband both enjoy hunting. And I don't know how I would like that. I'd hate to be in competition with my wife out in the field with a metal detector because I'm a very competitive individual. But she could care less about it. And, women think if you got one detector, why do you need another detector? And, of course, I always come back and I say, have you seen your shoes in your closet, And she said, yeah, but that's different. I'm not paying that much money for my shoes. But they really don't understand, do they?
No. They don't. And actually, Joe, that was my wife that asked that question. And then, of course, she's the same way. She could care less about it, but as long as I enjoy it, she enjoys it for me. And then, like you said, there's a lot more different hobbies we could be into, and some good and some bad. But I mean, that's just she likes the hobby, but she doesn't want anything to do with it. She's went out one time and she was on her phone more than, I mean, over half the time we were out, she was on her phone. So,
it's kind of I guess the only bummer is, I'll like go out, and a couple weeks ago, I found this really awesome silver ring, and I was so excited. I don't know why, but when I get excited, I can't wait to get home to show my wife. And I just think it's the greatest find ever. And I run through the door, take my boots off, and say, "Check out what I found." And she just kind of looks at me. She goes, "Oh, okay, cool." and that's it. It's it's like, you don't think this is awesome? And I tried giving her gold rings before, and no. She goes, "No, that belongs to somebody else."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, but this is historic. Look at the history of this thing." She's like, yeah.
And
she doesn't get it.
And the first thing that every person that's really not interested in the historical side of metal detecting, the first question that they asked is, "What's it worth?" And we don't place a value on those things, even though you could place a value. But yeah, the ladies, they just don't understand. Hey guys, we're coming up on a hard break here, and we'll come back with another question right after this commercial.
Hey, Seven, we's looking good in our new Relics Radio T-shirts.
Yeah, Ken and Mark Guthrie of Detectors.com done brung them to us.
Yep, and they makes other shirts too.
Yeah, boy. Detectors.com can handle tees for your club, hunt, or any other promotion folks may have.
They even got the Wide Pride shirts.
Yeah, them boys does the manatee crawl.
Yeah, scooting on their bellies.
That's what I said. The manatee crawl.
Looks like slugs eating jelly.
So whether you hunt horizontal or vertical, tell the folks where they need to go, TJ.
www.detectees.com.
I cannot keep from laughing every time I hear that. And kudos to Jeff Ford, Plugmaster Ford. He is the voice behind all of our Detectees.com, and that is DECTEES.com. That's our shirt, people, and be sure and check out our Relics Radio Facebook group, because we have a T-shirt contest going on right now. If you get a Relics Radio T-shirt and you take a picture of yourself and post it on there, we will give you a number, and sometime in November we're going to do a random number draw, and we're going to give away a Garrett Carrot, and we'll give away some other prizes and throw some other stuff in there as well. Another question that came up in that is, how did you come up with the name of your channel, Joe?
Oh man, I spent years, watching YouTube videos before I even, got my own channel, and I've always been proud to be an Okie. So I knew it was going to be something to do with Oklahoma. I mean, you won't meet a guy, which you don't meet very many people from Oklahoma that aren't proud to be from there. And so I knew it was going to be something Okie. And, there's Oklahoma Relic Hunter, there's Okie Digger. There's a couple other guys on there at the time that, and they're still around. And I was like, I can't use those names. What do I want to do? And, and I remember I just got the AT Pro right before I started. In a few months before, I started my videos, I took the AT Pro out in the water for the first time, and I never really been water hunting before, and I just fell in love with it. I mean, just the amount of stuff I was finding in these spots was just incredible. And so I was like, okay, well, I love land hunting. I love water hunting, something to do with Okie. And I was like, okay, Okie, well, I hunt in the surf and I hunt in the turf. So why not? And, it just had a good ring to it. And so I kept it.
Yeah, I knew that.
It's a great name.
I knew that you were from Oklahoma, and, I'm a transplant from the panhandle of Texas, and my great-grandmother lived in Oklahoma, and I actually lived in Oklahoma for a couple of years myself. Hey guys, we've had a little bit of problem at the start, and Jeff couldn't get on. He's got a computer problem. It's not anything with our system here, but he couldn't get on the chat. So normally we let Jeff.
I'm on the chat now.
Oh, are you?
I'm on the chat now.
Well, name off a few of the folks that are on the chat then.
Okay, well, I'll start at the. Well, I can't start at the bottom now, but the first one I believe was Chris. There's Mark Hoover, Ohio Relic Hunter. Wes Stringer's in the house. Anita Jackson. There's Dennis. Barb's in the house. Hello, Barb. Hadn't seen her in a little while. Bill Hayes. Missouri Mike's in the house. There's Ken King. It's several, and it's several in here. So Earl from Virginia. Sorry, Earl.
Dennis is
move on up a little bit. Yep, got Matt Howe from Gone Digging.
Yeah, and by the way,
all four say.
Yeah. By the way, Dennis was the one that asked that question about how you got your channel name. But we did have a couple of more questions. Go ahead, Jeff, and I'll let you field the next question that we had in show prep.
Okay. What is his main methods of researching sites, and what is one place that you would love to detect but cannot get permission? Man, that's for Lanny.
Okay, well, my main method of research, I've listened to a lot of the different podcasts and, watched the videos on all the research, and I honestly haven't quite figured the online piece out to that degree yet, as far as using an app or whatever. I just can't get it to work right. I can't get overlays right. So I go old school, man. First I'll start off, reading books about I'll find any history books that I can find about a spot, or any online articles that I find about a spot. Yeah, I research that. And if I can't find anything in that particular area, I'll just go down to the library, or I'll get online and I'll get the old topographical maps, just as old as I can find, and the ones that have the old home places. And so I guess I'm 1980 style, 1990 style. I mean, that's just the way we used to use when I was in high school. We use topographical maps, and that's what I still use today, until I can figure out how to do those other apps.
Well, it's not for everybody. I mean, I understand that it's not for everybody to be able to do that. But I used to use the topographical maps, and they have a GPS feature on them. But I'll tell you something, they are off, and they are off quite a bit. I've found some of those to be off a quarter of a mile, and that's just unusable. I mean, I don't know why that was the way that it was, but you can't use that. But then Heath Jones introduced us to Maprika. And you're able to pull in portion of a topographical map, and then you can mark where roads cross and mark where creeks come into the river. And if you can get 10 or 12 reference points, we can walk exactly to a site, can't we, Jeff?
We sure can. And actually, I've got a 1878 map of my county, and I know some of the old plantation homes that are still standing, and I can use them as anchor points. And around that one spot, like Seven said, you can walk right to that home site. And I mean, it helps a lot.
It does. I tell you,
I may have to go back and watch Heath's video again on that. And I know that's a better way to do it. Yeah, I found a 1890s. I was looking for an 1890s schoolhouse, and I knocked on about 3 different doors, and people go, there's no school on my property. I was like, yeah, the map shows us right here. And, the third house that I went to, this elderly lady answered the door, and she goes, I'll be right back. And she brought out this photo album. She actually went to school at that old house, before that school shut down. She went to school there. She goes, it's about a quarter of a mile down the road that way.
Now there you go.
You're right. I mean, they're way off.
You can't beat having a person that personally knew where a place was at, and get you in the right direction and get you in the area. The other part to that question was, do you have any place that you are just dying to hunt, but you can't get permission on?
Yeah, I am. I do. There's, the first one that pops in my head is, it's an old pre-Civil War fort called Fort Washita, and it's in Oklahoma. It's by where I grew up, and my parents volunteer there once or twice a month, and man, a dragoon encampment. It was a massive dragoon encampment pre-Civil War, and there's still some ruins that are standing there today, and it's a pretty awesome place. But my whole life, ever since I first picked up a metal detector, my dream is just to hunt that spot. And I just know it's just got to be just loaded with stuff. But yeah, so I know that's the first place that popped in my head. But of course, there's many other sites that I would love to hunt.
And Earl from Virginia.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Is that fort, is it on private property or is it a state owned? Or
it was state owned. It just changed hands. The Chickasaw Nation purchased the property and have taken over the property now.
Okay.
But yeah, it was state property before. It's still under the Oklahoma Historic Society.
And
okay.
Earl from Virginia said, we've all got sites like that, and we do. Mine is, those of you that follow my channel know me, you know that there's a Civil War camp that's less than a mile from my house, or about a mile, I guess, from my house. And we've found the majority of that camp, but we know that on a little piece of property in one corner of that is probably the main part of the camp, or at least a part of the main part. And there's a guy that owns that, and I went down there and had all my maps and everything, and sat down and talked to the guy and his wife. And I told him, I said, I'm recording where I find each relic and what relic it is, GPS marking it, then turning it over to the local museum for display. So, the whole community has it. But if you'd rather do it different, if you want the relics, I don't care. I'll give them to you. I just want to be able to document what is there, and I went through a spiel for about an hour and a half, and that guy was saying, yep, that's interesting, And so I got to the very end of it, and I said, just to get to the question that I came here to ask, can I hunt on your property? And he said, no, I'm not going to let you, And then his wife said, no, we've got one of those Geiger counters, she said. So
There's a little place down the road here called Ziegler's Fort, and it was a 1780s fort. It was burnt down in 1792 by Native Americans, and they captured probably, I think it was like 15 or 16 settlers. And, of course, when it was burnt, everything was left. And there's no telling what's in that ground. And, of course, I pulled up one day, and, of course, it's owned by just one family, but it's like brothers and sisters and cousins and nephews. They live on this whole property. And I pulled up one day and I asked him the metal detector. He said, no way. We don't allow any metal detector. He said, nothing against you. He said, we just don't allow it. And then I think years ago, it was some guy snuck on there and was trying to dig at night. And, of course, they had a ruckus then, and they got a bad taste of metal detectors in their mouth at that time. So, unfortunately, I can't hunt it.
Don't take but one or two to ruin it for all of us. That's just the way it is. Hey, Joe, a few weeks back, we had your buddy on, Rob Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Spud Diggers. What a character.
Yeah. Man, he's a great guy. I just hunted with him a couple weeks ago.
And y'all hunt a place that you call Diamondville, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Goes back to the 1870s. It was an old gold mining town. Yep, there in Idaho, up in the mountains.
And what all
mountains?
Kind of stuff do y'all find at those old spots like that? Old ghost town, I guess what you call it, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty similar to the kind of stuff you guys find. Some spitter clips and old buckles and I know last time there's a guy found a General Service eagle button there, and nothing like crazy older than 1860s, 1870s, but just the usual relics, pocket watch parts everywhere. I just think that those old pocket watches, I just don't understand why we still find so many parts. I bet we found parts to 20 pocket watches just the 3 times that I've been over there, and we found more last time. But yeah, just the usual relics and Chinese coins and tokens, and that's kind of what gets my blood boiling. Gets me cooking is I start getting on them tokens or Chinese coins. But there's been some good ones found over there.
I bet. What's the oldest Chinese coin you found?
I just found one that it goes back to was it 1662 to? It was old. I know it's 1660s was the start of that dynasty. And I just found that one. That one was literally 2 weeks ago. That's the oldest coin I've ever found in my life. But yeah, most of the ones you find over there. Yeah. And I've been doing some research on, those cash coins and trying to figure out, why, because everywhere I've been, I've been to Apple Orchard here that was early 1900s, and, I find a cash coin from the 1730s, and there was nobody here in the 1730s. And, so I know there's a good history. I don't know if those guys carried those coins around in their neck, because there's those square holes in them. I don't know if they just passed them on from generation to generation, and, they came over and their necklace broke. I don't know. I can't figure out why these old coins are in these old mining camps and work camps and orchards and, railroad yards and those kind of places. But there's some Chinese coins out there.
In those old gold towns like that, the Chinese work those quite a bit. In fact, if you know anything about gold prospecting and gold panning, you know that the pans now have ribs built into them, and that's what catches your heavies. The Chinese are the ones that came up with that. They used to just use just straight-sided metal pans, and the Chinese took a hammer or some kind of tool, and they beat ridges into that and figured that out, and then all the indigenous people here, the American people, I guess you would call them, they started doing that. And that's the, that's the format or the pattern for our modern pans. And so they would bring money with them, and they built railroads. They worked on that out west. And, they did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and, here in
go ahead, Jeff.
Sumner County, we have a tunnel that goes through 2 hills. It's called South Tunnel, and there was a lot of Civil War activity there, but it was built pre-Civil War, and you find a lot of Chinese tokens around it. It was built by the Chinese workers and stuff. So
that's on my bucket list. I want to find a Chinese coin somewhere. Never have found one.
Dig up a nickel signal. They ring up pretty low. Most of them sound like a dirty nickel. Sound like a worn out V nickel or something.
Well, I'm going to dig all them because that's what flat buttons ring up too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I'll dig those signals. I may never find one of those, but you just got to get in the spot where that stuff. You can't find stuff that wasn't lost in your area, but you're going to have things that probably nobody else is going to find. And, you kind of corner the market on that. You do that with the Washington tax tokens, and you brought me one of those whenever you came.
Yeah. One of my buddies, James, he asked me what I found last weekend, and I'm like, I found two more Washington tax tokens. It's just, they're everywhere. I don't know how many I got. I have to go up and count it, but there's definitely well over 100 Washington tax tokens I got now. I mean, I found more Washington tax tokens than I found wheat pennies last weekend. So, yeah.
What years are they?
1935 is when the program started. There's 2 different varieties that you find. And so it's from 1935, and then they minted them in the 1940s. And so, yeah, they're nothing real special. Most of them are pretty chewed up. They're real cheap aluminum, almost have like fiber on the inside of that aluminum. So, like this one that I dug was next to an apple tree. And man, if you dig up a tax token near an apple tree or a fruit tree, that acid in that soil just eat right through it. And it's pretty chewed up bad. Most of them you find are garbage, but I keep them all.
Yeah, and I've seen on one of your videos that you found some claim tags.
Oh yeah. That was that hunt with Rob. That was a hunt with Spud Digger a couple weeks ago. I didn't even know what they were. And, Jerry with Jerry's Detectors, he was over there and he goes, "Well, what'd you find?" And I said, I found some kind of tag. I don't know what it was. And I just showed him to him. He goes, "Oh, wow, you got yourself 2 claim tags." So what they do is when they stake their claim with the stake, they'd nail that claim tag onto that stake so people knew whose claim it was. And I got them cleaned up.
Pretty neat.
And they cleaned up real nice, Kind of a bummer. They're half chewed, half rotted away, but, you can still make out some details on them.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, what would they have, the name and the number of the claim on it? The person's name?
It's almost like a claim company and a number is what they had on them. And, one had the scales of justice on it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Is there any way is there any way you can go back to those old claim companies and take a number like that and see who had that claim?
I bet I could. That one tag that I have, you can see the whole claim number on it. And I thought about that the other day. I bet there's a way I can probably track down who had that claim.
Well, I was just sitting here thinking because I'm always looking for subject matter for a history clip. And that'd be a great history clip there if you could go back to that claim company, take that number, and then be able to bring a family name or an individual's name or something in, or a group of guys, that had that claim. And it just, that's what really interests me, when you can put a name with a relic that you find, which is really, really rare.
Oh, yeah.
And what would it come up with Milam? Such and such Milam on this claim, blah, blah, blah. They still own it.
No, we wasn't on any claims, but we were on a lot of wanted posters. Hey, guys, we're coming up on another break here. We'll be right back. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, Tesoro, and Macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for MineLab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim is your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any questions you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 and be sure and tell him Relics Radio sent you. I was sitting here reading the chat, and by the way, Tim Henderson's a great guy. If you need anything metal detecting related, give him a call. And by the way, in the description on this podcast and all of our podcasts, we've got Tim's number and all of our sponsors there. But I noticed that Chris Heimsoff said that he said he had an elderly woman tell him that the old Chinese koans were very common whenever this lady was young. She said that they used them as decorations on the old sewing boxes that came from China. So that may explain a little bit of why they are here,
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I hadn't heard that. But you heard it first right here on Relics Radio. Always worth listening to. And by the way, I meant to ask you there a while ago, when you were in Diamondville, Mark Hoover was there. Did you get to meet Mark?
No, I didn't get to meet Mark. I was kind of bummed out. Mark came over. I was just reading his chat right now. I'll talk to James. James will be great on the show, by the way. But no, he went over on the hunt before Memorial Day, and I couldn't break free from work. Work was so crazy busy at the time that, the president of the company wouldn't let me off work. So I was kind of bummed that I had to bail on that trip. But I was looking forward to meeting him. Heard nothing but good stuff about him from a lot of my buddies that I hunt with over there.
Well, don't believe any of it. I mean, Mark was paying them to say that. No, Mark is a great friend of mine and Jeff. We got a little Facebook Messenger group, and we text back and forth and always sending some kind of funny something other back and forth between us. And Mark Hoover is our booking agent, so leave it up to Mark to get James on and schedule him for a show. You'll just have to get in touch with me. Mark, I'll send you what we've got booked so far. I've been working pretty hard over the last couple of weeks, and I'm into October, but I've still got a few slots that need to be filled. And in fact, next week, I'm not going to be here next week. Heath Jones is going to host the show for me with Jeff. I'm going to be out of town, and that's why I released my video today. One of the reasons why I released that video there today. But I just wondered if you had had a chance to meet Mark. That's on my bucket list too, ain't it, Jeff? Is to hunt with Mark Hoover.
It is. I mean, yep, that's right. And then, of course, we need to get down there where there's real treasure at, on Treasure Beach and stuff like that. So, but I was thinking one of these days we need to write a diary of our little chat we have off with Mark, and then write everything down. That would be something hilarious for people to read 100 years from now. So
it would. But I don't know.
Earl from Virginia, people keep talking about the Haunted Holler Man.
Oh, do they really?
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard a couple people wanting to go hunt that holler, and you guys can get after that. Well, I'm not going back to that place.
Well,
yeah, I seen Mark. Mark said he wanted to go. I told him, let's go.
Hey, guys, we got a call in. Denny Morrison. What's going on, Denny?
Hi, Loy. I just listened to your program, and I was wondering if anyone in the audience or you guys have ever found company script or coins.
Jeff found a Sutler coin or tag at one of the Civil War sites, and to my knowledge, that's the only one that either one of us have found. What about you? What about you, Joe?
Here in Ohio, we have a lot of coal mines, and I know they have them down in Kentucky and a lot of them in West Virginia, and the companies had their own script. They gave you the coin, they gave you those coins, and you spent those coins at their coal mine stores. So they got their money back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, plus some.
Yeah, I'm told that the people worked, and then they gave them company script, and then they had to, the only place they could spend it was at their store, and by the end of the month, you actually probably owed them money instead of making anything.
You sold your soul to the company store, right?
Hey, that's a good old country song right there, ain't it?
Sure enough.
That's what that means right there, man. Yeah, I found a couple of company script before, and mainly logging. You get on these old logging camps every once in a while, and you might be able to find one or two if you're lucky.
Now, what did they look like? Are they do they look like coins? What size are they? What are they made of?
Yeah, it's just like a regular good for token. It just has the company name on it, and it's good for 5 cents in trade. Good for 10 cents in trade. I know some of them I've seen. It actually says good for 10 cents in trade at the company store on it, but the ones I found, it just says good for 10 cents in trade, and you look up the company name, and that was a logging company.
Somebody said on here, Wes said Tennessee Ernie Ford.
That's who it was. That's who it was. And it was, what was the name of that song? Big Bad John, was that it?
Yep. I believe it was. No,
I don't think so.
I'll have to look it up.
I can't remember, but I remember it being in a song. Of course, me and Mark Hoover, we've been around since before songs even started.
Mark's been here since start.
Well, I have too. Sure have.
That's why I'm surprised you don't have any Chinese coins, Seven. I figured you used them back in the day.
No.
Yeah, I got a lot of them.
Yeah.
We had the Erie Canal come through here, and I told them here on the chat, 37 trains went through my local town here, where locomotives every day. So we had a lot of Chinese that helped build the railroad tracks.
16 tons.
16
yeah,
tons.
16
right.
tons. And what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Sold my soul to the company store.
Thanks, Chris Hansall.
Chris is right on it.
Yes, he is. Chris reached out. No, it wasn't Chris either. It was Wes Stringer reached out to me to try to get a country music guy as a guest who also detects. We haven't worked all that out yet, and I'm not going to give the person's.
I can tell you one.
Who?
And that's Johnny Cash's daughter. And Johnny Cash used to actually metal detect.
Yeah, I'd heard that, but the guy that we're looking at metal detects in Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee, and I've reached out to him, and we're just the problem is scheduling. To be able to work with his schedule and work with our schedule. I don't know that we're going to be able to get it done. But if I mentioned the guy, you would know exactly who it is. I mean, everybody in the chat would know who it is.
Excuse me. Yep. Sorry about that, Loy.
Yeah.
I was trying to read Ohio Relic Hunter. He put the whole song on here.
Oh, he did. Yeah. I was deja vu all over again, hearing myself talk there. I thought, what in the world? Hey, Joe, somebody come tap me hard on the shoulder here.
Man, I tell you what. Who's tapping you on the shoulder?
Hey, we haven't talked about detectors, and I know a little bit about what kind of detectors that you used whenever you were here, but just kind of go down the list and tell us what your evolution of metal detectors and what you're using now and why and what have you.
Okay. I started off with the Soro Sidewinder back in the 90s, and I used that all the way through college. And then when my grandfather passed away, it just kind of got me the bug to get back, more modern times. And Sidewinder still runs today. I actually used it in April this year. But I put it I left it at Oklahoma as a kind of a backup machine or family machine. And then I switched to the Ace 350. And then shortly after, like literally a month after, realized that machine, I kind of outgrew it, and nothing wrong with the machine. But I got the AT Pro, AT Gold, E-Track, and then that E-Track is just, it was a fantastic machine. And then I also have the Deus and Tesoro Mojave. And I have a Treasure MX Sport, White's MX Sport.
No wonder
that's a pretty good company.
Yeah, no wonder your wife is aggravated with you with all those detectors and everything that you've got, But you were using AT Pro.
You don't know how much they cost.
Oh, yeah. My biggest fear, and I've said it on the show before, my biggest fear is that I'm going to die, and my wife is going to sell all my stuff for what I told her that I gave for it.
Yeah, well, I trade for all of mine. So
yeah, you sure do. Including the new professional broadcast mic that I'm talking through tonight. I just got this past week. I don't want her to know what I gave for that. So I've been saving up since last November, putting a little money, squirrel holding it away, and finally got enough and got it. But that's the way we do, however we make it work. When you came and hunted with us, you had the AT Pro and the E-Track, didn't you?
Yep. That's what I took over there that trip. And both those machines are great machines.
They are. I've still got both of them. Now, the E-Track, I've got a buddy that uses it, but I still own it. And I've got two AT Pros. They are great machines. I'm not going to get rid of the AT Pro. But, I've got the Equinox now and then the GPX. All of those are just tools, aren't they? I mean, different place.
Oh, yeah.
Different detector will work better, depending on the circumstances.
Absolutely correct, man. That's, the AT Pro has its spot. I know you and Jeff, you guys use it to locate these old home sites. And I totally understand that. It's a great tool for that. And, yeah, the E-Track has its spots. I mean, the E-Track's a coin machine, man. That E-Track if I was a coin shooter, that's all I'd use. I wouldn't even own any more machines. I mean, that's a silver magnet.
It is.
And then the Deus, of course.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just saying the Deus is, that's I'm primarily, a relic hunter, whether I'm hunting military relics or old, home place relics. But, that Deus and I have become pretty close. I really, really understand that machine and love that machine. So, but yeah,
I seen you got the waterproof kit for that Deus. How do you like it?
I like it, man. It works good, but you know what? You take something that expensive and throw it into a plastic baggie and jump into the lake with it. It's a kind of an uneasy feeling.
So, I'm sure.
That's how come I never took my CTX in the water. I mean, you pay that kind of money for something, and that's why I kept the AT Pro, and that's why I've got two of them. So I've got one that I go to the houseboat, and I've got an AT Pro down there with a 5x8 coil on it, and that's what I use, and I don't worry about it. I mean, I put it under the water, and I just go at it. Don't worry about it, But it's not that expensive a machine now. You can probably get one used for $250, $300, and it's a loss if it went out, but not that much of a loss. It's not in the $2,500 range.
No, I think. Honestly, I don't have my AT Pro anymore, and or my Gold. I sold my Gold to my uncle because he'd been using a bounty hunter since the mid '90s, and so I helped him upgrade. And then I sold my AT Pro to a guy that's new to the hobby of detecting, and that's James Ofar, who Mark Hoover was talking about. Tough run metal detecting. He's really new in the hobby, and so I gave him a good deal on my Pro, but I miss it. I may have to buy another one of these days because I definitely miss hunting with it from time to time.
And when you were in Diamondville, you had the opportunity to use the new White's 24K Gold machine. Tell us a little bit about it.
Man, that thing, it's so well balanced. I mean, that machine has an awesome balance on it. And it's a heavy, it's not super heavy like E-Track with the big tornado coil on, heavy, but it's got some weight to it, but it's so balanced it makes it a lot easier to use. And man, I don't know, everything I heard about it, they had some test nuggets out there. I swung over the test nuggets and man, if I was really into prospecting, that would be a machine that I get my hands on, that's for sure. I like the sound of it. I like the tone on it, and man, you could really, I could swing over a nail and you can hear the size. And that's, for me, when I'm looking at a detector, and that what I use for a go-to machine is like, I want something where I can actually size the target. And with that machine, you could definitely tell if it was a small or a big target with that 24K, man. That was a cool machine for sure.
Hey guys, we got another call in. Last four numbers are 2526. Who we got?
It's the Spud Digger.
What's happening, Rob? What's up, buddy?
Hey, yeah, you can call me Spud Digger. You can't call me Rob. What's going on with you rabble of rowdies over there?
We're just two rednecks with a metal detector is all I can tell you.
Yeah, waiting for it to cool off some.
Yeah, well, you should be in Idaho. It's nice and cool. It's only 80. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Only 80. Well, hey, that's not too bad. Low humidity.
We're just
yes.
We're just sitting back and having a wonderful time here tonight talking to your buddy Joe Davidson, Okie.
Oh, I love that. That 24K that he was talking about, I found 4 pieces of gold with it so far, and I just wanted to just let you guys know that I'm loving the gold machine.
Yeah,
if I found 4 pieces of gold, I'd love it too.
I would too. Me and Jeff
never found any.
Me and Jeff just got into gold prospecting a little bit, and we've kind of got the bug, not real bad, but we've kind of got the bug a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we really don't live in a place where we could use a gold machine like you guys are. Of course, you're on gold claims, and so you can hunt those old tailings and probably find something where, me and Jeff, we may hunt the rest of our life and never come across even a small picker or nugget.
Yeah, well, just a side note, the claim that we went on, the owner said that had been stripped clean, and we pulled 17 pieces with that new gold machine. So that was pretty good. But I have a question for Okie.
Go ahead.
Oh, what's up, buddy?
Well, Okie, other than your best buddy, which is me, of course, I want to know, why do you like water detecting so much?
You know what? It's kind of like people ask me why I like night hunting, and it's not your typical, it's just not your typical style of detecting. I mean, one, I'm a sound hunter. I've always been a tone hunter, and a lot of the machines that I've used are tone machines for the most part, even the Tesoros. But I don't know. I just like it, man. I like that, you're basically stepping on the target and you don't know what it is. It's like a surprise every time. And I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. It's just a lot of fun.
So I do have a follow-up question, if I may, gents.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Well, sure. Yeah.
What can you, because I'm new to this water hunting. I'm new to the gold hunting. I'm a dry land guy, but what tips and tricks can you give to help us be the best? Because I've seen your videos and I love watching you in the water. Not that way, guys, right? But I'm just saying, I love just, you're pulling it out. And, can you give us some tricks and tips?
Yeah, dig it all, man. And that's the...
No, I don't want to dig it all. I want to dig the good stuff.
That's what I got a buddy that's getting into water hunting over here, Rob, Spud Digger. There you go. I don't know by your name.
You can call me Rob.
But I got one of my hunting buddies, Dave, over here. He's finding some amazing stuff in his in this new water hole he's got, and that's the best advice that I give him. Is like, well, you dig it all, and you should dig it all. I think anybody starting to any kind of detecting should dig every repeatable signal that they get. Just that way, it helps them learn the machine. And I mean, I could just listen to the tones when I'm out in that water, and I know if it's a clad dime, or I know if it's a zinc tinny, and of course the gold. I'm like, okay, that's either a pop top or a piece of foil, or it could be a ring. And you just got to dig it all. If your pouch isn't completely full when you're in a swimming hole, you're not going to get the good stuff unless you dig that trash. And some of those dainty gold rings will rig up like a full piece of foil. So you just got to dig it all.
Apparently,
and then is there any special? So is there any kind of special scoop that I need, or, I know a lot of the pinpointers now are kind of waterproof, and but is there anything special like about the scoop? So what scoop would you recommend?
Well, that scoop that I saw you have the other day, buddy, that's a pretty mean looking scoop. That white scoop that you had, that's a beefy looking scoop.
Is it from? Is it from White's? Or does it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I may have seen that, but I can't remember if I did or not. But I tell you what, a scoop will really save you a lot of time, and it'll save you back too, because you can use your foot, and both arms, and get that scoop down in the ground and dig that stuff out, and not have to bend over as much. You'll probably have to still bend over some, especially if you're in rocks, but. And a scoop doesn't work real good in rocks like that, depending on where you're at. But yeah, it's a game changer a lot of times.
Yeah, and you don't have to spend an arm and a leg on a scoop either. I mean, my scoop that I have, it costs probably $60 at the big box store, and the big metal detecting box store that I won't name, but. You don't have to spend a fortune on a scoop. It's just kind of what I hunt a lot of rocks. They're small pebbles and sand is what I'm hunting usually when I'm water hunting. And so my sand scoop has the bigger holes in it. It's not the smaller holes like your traditional water scoop. But yeah, whatever works for you. But as far as a pinpointer goes, I've never carried a pinpointer in the water with me. There's really no need for it. I mean, once you'll learn your machine just like night hunting too. I mean, you learn your machine where you don't even need to use your pinpointer. If you can scoop a coin, I kind of challenge myself. I'm like, man, my goal is that every signal that I get, I want less than two scoops, and I'm pulling that signal up. And so I kind of challenge myself each time, and it kind of helps me learn my machine at the same time.
There's another tip, and I haven't done it on my scoop. I probably would if I used it quite a bit. But you know how much trouble that a bobby pin will give you in the water. And a lot of people will mount a small magnet in their scoop, and then if you get a bobby pin in the scoop, it will jump to that magnet, and you're not spending 30 minutes chasing that. And I've done that,
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It is a great idea.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a... my scoop's aluminum, so, I'd have to wire on a magnet. I thought about doing that because, it gets annoying when you're chasing after a really solid tone and it sounds like a real deep ring or something. And, the earring just keeps falling through those holes over and over and over again. You spend 20 minutes chasing this target, just finally realizing it's either a sinker or an earring. So, yep, that little magnet would be awesome for that.
Well, a magnet's not going to get a sinker because it's lead, and it's not going to attract it. Mm-hmm. But the guy that
junky earrings it'll get.
Yeah, if they're metal, it will. And the guy that I've seen, he used an epoxy glue. He had a aluminum scoop, which that's what mine is, and he just used epoxy glue and glued the magnet in there. But it'll save you on some things. Some things it's not. You're still going to have to chase those little split ring sinkers and things like that until you finally give up on them.
Mark Hoover said, "Yeah, that's the magnet would be a good idea until your scoop latches to a submarine."
I love Mark Hoover. He always has to bring my past up, doesn't he? The submarine and everything. So, well, that was my only question. Okie, lads, I really appreciate the things you're doing, and keep on doing it. Thank you.
Hey, Spud Digger.
Yeah, man. Hey, so you're coming over here and water hunting with me next month, right?
I was planning on it, but I heard Washington gets freezing cold in October, right? So
that's all
I'll
right.
have to wear a wetsuit or something.
The water temperature will be in the 50s. It's all right. You can do it.
I'll bring my wetsuit.
Cold, isn't it?
the coldest I went, I got in 49-degree water one time, and that was the last time I'll get in water that cold. But
and Spode Digger,
50s are still fine.
If you get in that cold water, you know what a baked potato looks like when you leave it in the microwave too long, it shrivels up. That's what the Spode Digger will look like.
It's a sight that I just really don't want to put in there right now. So I'm going to sing a happy song to get that out of my brain.
Okay. Hey, thanks for the call, and always good to hear from
Rob.
you.
Yeah.
It's good hearing from you, buddy.
You too, my brother. Keep on going. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thanks for the call.
Hey, great call. We've got one more commercial that we need to run, and then we'll be right back. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671 and be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. And while we're talking about American Digger magazine, congratulations to Matt Howe. His Gold Cohen made the cover in this issue and also was included in the Just Dug. Way to go, Matt.
And congratulations, 7. Your seated done the same thing. Well, cat bust.
Cat bust. And those don't come around too often. And while we're talking about it, I've got an article coming out in the January-February issue with Jeff Ford, Wes Stringer, and Chris Heimsoff, the Great Silver Horde. I'm looking forward to seeing that article come out as well. And I can't see the chat no more. My chat locked up a long time ago. Is anybody asked it any questions or anything, Jeff?
Actually, Barb just put Jeff's still on the phone. Does Okie do any salvager hunting every year?
Oh, the scavenger hunt
every year.
Yeah. So that's Barb. Hey, Barb. This year's been a little bit difficult for me for the YouTube videos, and I've kind of recommitted myself to doing more videos than what I have. There's a time I was kind of getting on that burnout mode, trying to do a video every week, and then with work getting crazy, and I know I told everybody at the end of the year last year that we're going to do another scavenger hunt. I know a lot of people had a lot of fun with that, and I know, Barb, you did real well at it. And I'm not going to give you anything about the Indian head penny, but that wasn't on the scavenger hunt. But no, I think, I think we got to have some time for that. So I think maybe next year I'll do another scavenger hunt. I think everybody had a lot of fun, and it was really enjoyable getting everybody's emails with their finds as they go through the year. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
And Barb, you do have our permission to call in and defend yourself against Joe if you want to.
I've never talked to Barb in person.
Oh, you haven't?
But, she used to comment on all my videos, and she would participate in that scavenger hunt. So yeah, it's good to hear from her. Good to see her on here. I know I hear her talking on all the radio shows around. So.
Well, she put, dang it, does the whole world know about me and the engines?
Yes, they do. They sure do. The same way that everybody knows about me being old. I mean, it's just something that is stuck with you, and you're never gonna get away from it. But yeah, Barb, call in.
I wasn't gonna let you know this, but somebody put in the chat on here, since yours is locked up, we can talk bad about you now. So I'm not gonna tell you who said that.
Well, I'm not going to call any names, but his initials, it's probably Mark Hoover.
No, it wasn't Mark.
Okay. Good old magnetic Mark.
It was CH.
Yeah, it may have been CH. Yeah.
Oh, Chris Amsoff then. Okay. I'll deal with him later. I talked to some guys over in Missouri this last week and trying to get something together for October, go up there and meet a whole bunch of them guys that we haven't met. Of course, we've met Jeff Ford and we've met Wes Stringer, but I'd like to hook up with all of those guys out there. Hey, Barb, make Joe's day. Call in and talk to him live. I know that he's just waiting for that.
Yeah, it would be good to hear from her.
She is a character, isn't she?
Yeah,
Jeff.
You know, the first time I saw anything from her was, Spud Digger. He has a metal detecting page that he put together, and he was asking some people to write some articles. He would ask a question of us, and we'd have to type the articles up. And I know that's where I first heard from Barb was from that metal detecting site. So yeah, it'd be cool to hear from her.
25.
So you said you had another question for me too, right?
Hold on just a minute. 2533, new caller. Who we got? Is this Barb?
This is.
Oh, good.
Hey, Barb.
There you go, Joe.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to hear from you. It's good to talk to you.
I'm doing good, except to stay in one place or my phone will cut out.
Yeah, it is cutting out.
Yeah,
we understood. We understood you got to stay in one spot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cutting out just a little bit, but you can hang on there and do all you can.
Well, it's good to see you, Joe. I enjoyed the scavenger hunt last year, and I never looked for it, so I missed it, but it was fun. If anyone hasn't done it, you need to.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm definitely gonna do it again, Barb. I've been thinking about it all year, and you're the first person that actually even brought it up. So, I think I've only got like 4 videos on this year. I haven't done very many, but I've recommitted myself.
Yeah, I find it's better to do a monthly video because usually I only find one Indian in my life. So they're really short clips.
Yeah,
they
all
are.
Right. There's a lot. That farmhouse that you were hunting last year, you're finding some great relics on that spot. Have you hunted that spot out?
I think I have. The grass needs to die and the kudzu needs to die. I mean, they cleared the kudzu and the kudzu's now 7 feet tall. So
wow.
until we get a little frost, then I'll be back.
And me and Jeff had the pleasure of hunting with Barb at DIV, and I've never had any more fun being around somebody. Have you, Jeff?
No, I haven't. Of course, she's a great lady, and really enjoyed being around her. She's a down-to-earth person, so that's just.
And
people I like. So
we were talking about American Digger magazine a while ago, and I tell you what, guys, Barb is an excellent writer. She had the Lumberyard article that she put in American Digger earlier in the year, an exceptional article there. And she actually won an award for that from American Digger. Mm-hmm. And that was great and well-deserved too. But we kid with her all the time, but that's what we do with people we like, don't we, Jeff?
That's right. And it's some people don't know how to take it, but if we pick on you, that means we like you.
Yeah. And hey, Barb, I got to say something too. I watched your video of you hunting DIV, and man, that was probably one of the most enjoyable moments when you dug up that large scent. That was pretty awesome. That was really enjoyable watching. Yeah. Awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. I try to make my videos fun, but it's like if you watch the one where I dug the Indian head, the ground was so just everything was sticking. I'm like, it's probably another week because I think I dug 25 wheats out of there. And so I just threw it in my pill case. And when I got to the car and started spraying all the pennies, I'm like, it's a good thing I wasn't live because a lot of bad words came out of my mouth.
And you found that large scent coming off the New York Hill when you got in the cornfield, right there where we parked at. And some of the best finds of that section of the hunt was found right there next to where we parked the cars. It's amazing.
Well, we had parked up on the hill by the tree. Most people parked at the gate. My driver made me walk across the cornfield. And, yeah, I was coming out of the New York Hill and came through the last gate. And I said, I'm just going to swing all the way back to the truck, which was way up on the next hill. And when I pulled it, I went, it's got to be, and shut the camera off and got the spray out. And I just laid in the cornfield and yoo-hooed and said, shut my machine off. I said, I'm done.
It was a great find. And I'll tell you guys something else. I wanted to come out of there with a New York button, but then we were up on the New York camp, and it was me and Earl and Barb was in a section up there, and Barb came over, and I filmed a clip and actually included it in our DIV video that we did. But Barb found a beautiful New York button, and that was what I really wanted. I was just eat up with jealousy. I'll confess. I wanted one of those buttons so bad.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it wasn't your fault. I just wanted one so bad. You know how it is whenever you find something that you want. But, another day, another time, another hunt, another location. Maybe this spring I'll get on to one.
Yeah, I'm sure there's enough New York buttons to go around.
Well, the funny thing is I hadn't found nothing on that hill till Tony Hoshster, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Hostedler.
Yeah, that guy. And I said, Tony, I'm not finding nothing. He went, and he swung and he wasn't there 5 minutes. I've been there hours. And he's like, Barb, everything's breaking. I went, okay. So the next signal was the button, and it broke. And I had no clue what I had.
You know, that was the problem with that site for some reason. GPXs were not the machine to use on that New York camp. Earl was using his MXT, and then somebody else had an Equinox in, and those two VLF machines outdid everybody else in that whole camp for some reason, because those bullets were breaking. There was a guy told me, he said, what do you got your iron reject on? I said, I got it on 10. He said, turn it completely off because those, and turn your gain way down because those bullets and buttons and everything are breaking. And I did that. Me and Jeff kind of did that on the last day and had a little bit of success. But if we'd have known that going into that, I'd have probably took my AT Pro up there.
That's because it was
I've hunted
hot soil.
I've hunted Beauregard. Yeah, I've hunted Beauregard several times, and then the tones will sound real good one day, and you wake up the next morning and go, and they'll be breaking. So I mean, that's the bullets wise, and so I mean, it's just the atmosphere, I guess.
Well, thanks for that tip, because aren't we going there for one of the DIVs this fall?
I don't know. Denny may know where they're at in the fall. I don't know.
I think we're going to Beauregard and
Excelsior Camp. Excelsior Camp.
Well, they'll be
we're going to both of them.
There'll be New York buttons at the Excelsior Camp, won't they?
Yeah, my buddy Tony Anthony Corsetti, he found over 40 New York buttons in one trash pit.
God.
Yeah, and several of them had cloth on them yet.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had cloth until then. Hey, Joe, are you going to try and get out to any of the DIVs and hunt?
Well, I want to. I'd love to do a DIV. The problem with that, as far as the spring hunt goes, I tried going home and seeing my family in Oklahoma, and in the spring. And then I go hunt every October. I go to Ohio and hunt. And so it'd be kind of tough. But, yeah, that's definitely on my list of things that I really, really want to do. And, you know,
Well, just where in Ohio do you go in October?
Top secret, buddy.
He goes up there.
I meet up with my good buddy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I meet up with my good buddy Jeremy, and you know, we hunt towards the central part of the state. We go up to the central Ohio and hunt.
J.L. Digger, we had him on as a guest earlier in the year, I guess. Great guy. He came down here with Joe and hunted with me, and just a great guy, good hunter. He lives in a very historic part of Ohio. They find large scents like we find Wheaties. In fact, they call them Ohio Wheaties, don't they, Joe?
Man, I tell you, I think I found more large scents last fall than I found wheat pennies. That's for sure. I think the newest coin that I found that last trip was a 1941 Merc. And, that was the newest coin I found.
Joe, I actually find more seeded coins than I find large cents.
You know, and I've only found one. I found my first seeded in Ohio last year, and I've been hunting for that since the 90s. And I'm ready to get back and steal some more.
You're in the wrong place, buddy.
That's what Eloy and I are. We find more seeded and reals than we do large scents.
We find more. We find more reals than we do large scents, cap bust, seeded, and you know, even mercuries and things. But Jeff and I don't hunt yard. You know, we don't door knock and hunt house yards. We hunt real old sites, and so we're hunting those places where the cap bust. We're more likely to find a cap bust than we are seeded, and we're more likely to find a real than we are anything really. And there just wasn't any. There wasn't any large scents here. Hey, Joe, you remember the place where I found my large scent was a place that you and I and me and you and J.L. Digger hunted that day. You know that when y'all came down.
I was waiting for you to tell me thank you on that. By the way.
Oh yeah.
Because you know, I spent like 2 hours digging up mason jar lids for you, so you can get to that large scent.
And I certainly do appreciate it. We did.
So you owe me a thank you too, because I dug a 5-gallon bucket full of jar lids.
There's no telling how many jar lids are at that spot. And by the way, Jeff, he just cut the hay on that, and we've never had an equinox in there.
Well, there needs to be one.
Sure does.
And I will be packing my gun now. So,
no, what made me sick about that, Seven, is when I was watching your video on that, on digging your first large scent, you even pointed out, says, "Well, look, here's somebody's plug right here," and I know you were straight in line with that tree, and I know good and well that's right where I was digging, where I dug that shoe buckle, and dude, I have no doubt that. Yeah, that's probably my plug. I probably pulled a jar lid out of there for you.
Well, you may have. Your shoe buckle was on over to the right a little bit from that, probably 20 yards over. This was in between your shoe buckle and where Jeremy found he found a Barbara Dime, didn't he?
He found a Barbara Dime,
it
right
was,
there by that creek.
Yeah, it was right there in the middle of all of that. But you found a fantastic colonial shoe buckle there. That's still one of the better finds that came off of that site.
That's ranks up there with one of my favorite finds that I've ever found. I mean, that thing is at the top of my list, man. I've been wanting to find one of those. I never thought it was even possible to find one. And if it wouldn't have been for you bringing me out there, and I wouldn't have found it.
And you guys,
that's awesome, man. And that's one other thing we get to is what haven't you found that you think you should have found already?
Well, you know what? The top of my list is a complete crotalville. I only hunt Ohio a week a year. I found parts and pieces, and I found 3/4 of one last year. I never found a full one. But the thing that I think I should have found that I haven't, I think maybe a seeded, or I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, there's a lot of things. Now that I found my seated, that just totally knocked it off the list for the hunting I do around here. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe a barber half. I've never found a barber half. I found a Canadian half dimes, but I've never found a seated half dime. That would be a nice thing to find. And, I found 2 cut reals last year, and I never thought in a million years I'd ever find one of those. Maybe a whole one. A whole one would be nice. But, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'd love to find that I haven't been able to.
You eventually will. It took me 36 years to find my first large scent, and now I've got 3. And you know where I found the first one, and then I found one down on a spot that me and Jeff hunted. Was his permission, and then I found one on the Civil War site that I have absolutely pounded. And it was as clear as a bell, but it was under a fallen tree, and I was just getting down in the weeds and the limbs and everything and going places that I hadn't gone. That's a good tip for everybody, isn't it? Hunt those hard-to-get spots because they've been left by other people.
Yeah, and that's especially true if you have a lot of detectors in your area, and that's what here. There's a ton of competition, and it's a rare treat when you can get on a spot that's never been hit before, and so that's what you do. You go dive in those bushes, get dirty, get on your hands and knees, and that's how you're going to find the good stuff. Is go where no one else has went.
That's exactly right.
Here's a funny. I found my first seeded dime at DIV.
Right on.
DIV is a place where you can certainly find stuff. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah. What camp was that, Barb? Or what farm?
That was the M-Tree farm. It was the first hunt there, and I was up toward the road and was in a gully and hit a bullet and then went, dang, this sounds good. But it didn't sound like a bullet. But I'm like, it sounds good, dig it. And there was not a soul around. When I pulled it out of the ground, I was shocked. I was like, oh, my God, my first seeded dime, and there's nobody to share it with.
I hate it when that happens because you just want to run to somebody and say, come and look at this. And there's nobody to come and look at it. That's why I hate to hunt by myself anymore. That's why I want to hunt with Jeff or Joe or somebody, because when you pull something out to be able to share that moment. Now, you can do it on video, but it's just not the same, is it, Joe, to share it with somebody there in the field with you?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's always kind of a bummer when you're out by yourself and you find something amazing. You're just like, I feel like calling somebody on the phone or I'll text them a picture. Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same.
I remember.
Hey, Lloyd.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
I got a text.
I texted it to all the guys that we had a group text. So I texted it and said, look what I found, and sent a picture. And they're like, where are you? I'm like, I don't know. I can't see anybody.
That's the way to do it, Barb.
Yeah. What was you saying, Joe?
I said, I got one of my hunting buddies, Dave, he asked me if he just sent me a text message. He says, do you know where Paducah, Kentucky is?
Yes, I do. It's in the western part of the state, over along the Mississippi River. Been there.
He said he's got a old Civil War area he has access to over there.
Tell him
Dave lives over here.
Well, tell him to send us the address.
Yeah, send us a text, and it's just as soon as it cools down. Paducah's not a long trip. I mean, we can be to Paducah in a couple of hours. And
yeah, actually, I think I'm closer than you are. I mean, if I hit 24 and go up,
you may be. I don't know. Of course, I have to go through 5 Mile Holler to get there.
Yeah, that turns into 12.
Yeah, that turns it.
And through cougars and mountain lions and all that.
And people tapping you on the shoulder, I tell you.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'll never
Chris
forget
Henstall
that.
says Paducah, Kentucky is pretty close to Missouri.
It is very close to Missouri. Yeah. You can throw a rock into Missouri from Paducah, if you can throw a rock. Yeah. I used to could. I don't guess I can throw one that far now, but yeah, it's real close. And that's what we need to do, is find us a a spot that is kind of close to those guys in Missouri and kind of close to us and maybe close to some of them that are in Ohio, and just all have a big group hunt somewhere if we can find a location like that, you know.
Battle of Shiloh.
Yeah.
I'll let y'all go first.
Bring your lawyer.
Already there.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we're coming up on the bottom of the hour, and I hate it, but we're going to have to close out tonight. Joe, we have certainly appreciated having you on tonight. I consider you a very dear friend, and love to hunt with you, and can't wait to get up and hunt with you again somewhere. Maybe we'll hook up in the near future. But before we go, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you on Facebook or YouTube or whatever.
Well, I've never have done Facebook. That's just kind of the closest thing to Facebook I ever did was MySpace.
Man,
I just kind of, MySpace did me up on that whole side of things. I know Facebook, there's a lot out there, but YouTube is going to be, the best way you can reach out and see what I've been finding. I know I've had a lot of pressure lately to join Facebook, so I may actually get on there too. But you can get a hold of, I guess they can get a hold of you, Loy, and you can give out my phone number. Or if I guess you want to send me an email, it's treasurehunting15@gmail.com. And you can shoot me an email. I'd love to talk to anybody, man. There's probably 25, 30 good friends that I've met through YouTube, and I talk to them on a regular basis. And I need to call you, Loy, more. But you can. Hey, Barb, I don't know if Barb's still listening or not, but I'd love to chat with her on the phone too. She's one of the people I've been meaning to try figuring out how to get a hold of. So yeah. She's still on. She's still listening and everything. Denny is still on. Jeff is still on. I wish that we could continue on, but I'm getting hungry. I'm gonna have to go get me something to eat. Yeah. And there's it's been a. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. I was just saying it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun this evening for sure. I really appreciate you asking me to come on. It has for us too, and all of the calls that we've got, and everybody in the chat. And what do you say, Jeff, in closing? Yeah, it was our honor, Joe. I mean, you've been a great guest, and then of course everybody in the chat. This is we do it for you, and then thanks for the questions in the chat, and thanks for the callers. And don't forget, you can go to Relics Radio, and we've got a thing on there that says Relics Radio Show Prep. You can ask the questions for the next guest that we have. And, I mean, it does help out a lot. So it does. And, we're getting more questions each week. And a lot of people that may be shy on getting into chat or shy about calling or something other, they can get on that show prep and ask their questions. I also put on a voicemail thing on Facebook this week. Nobody bit on that, but I figure that they will pretty soon. But anyway, we thank everybody. And as I do each week before I close, if you like metal detecting podcasts, then check out Beyond Sight and Sound with Josh Kimmel. He's on Sunday night and Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. All Metal Mode is on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And also on Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern is American Digger Relic Roundup. The History Seekers is on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. And by the way, Heath Jones will be hosting the show here at Relics Radio next Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern with Tennessee Jeff. Don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I know it'll be a lot of fun. And then also Hardcore Metal Detecting is on Thursday night and Saturday night at 8 o'clock. And obviously, we're on every Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with Seven or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.